Rookie, race winner, usurper, world champion, record breaker. Max Verstappen's journey to the very top of the history books has been a sight to behold. This has been a man who has been almost untouchable across the last 2 years. A man whose speed has defied belief. But what if I told you that we were a few seconds away from never seeing the Flying Dutchman race at all? What if I told you that there would have been no title fight with Lewis Hamilton, no constructors win with Red Bull, and no Max Verstappen at all had fate not been kind to the Verstappens on July 31st, 1994. This is the story of one of the most horrifying Formula One events of all time, Jos Verstappen's escape from hell. Come race weekend, the fever in Germany for its new sporting hero was unmistakable. Tickets for the 9th round of the World Championship had sold out by mid-March, and a capacity crowd exceeding 140,000 was anticipated on race day. However, 3 days before practice was scheduled to commence at the Hockenheim Ring. A shock verdict from the FIA's World Motorsport Council disrupted the narrative. Schumacher, for ignoring black flags in the British Grand Prix, faced a 2-race ban, and that ban could apply to Hockenheim.
Because having been shown the black flag, he should have stopped, and that would have been an end of his race. In addition to that, he has been banned for 2 races.
Schumacher's home race. The news didn't sit well with some attendees. Wood piles began to emerge near the circuit, prompting fire departments to dismantle them amid fears that disgruntled fans were plotting bonfires in the dense woodland surrounding the circuit. Apprehensive about a potential threat to public safety, the mayor of Hockenheim directly appealed to those in charge to allow Schumacher to race. The fact that the mayor had to step in and beg them to let Schumacher race so that people wouldn't set fire to the track really tells you how popular this man was. According to my research, he also asked fans of DailyFuelUp to subscribe. Jos Verstappen on the other side of the garage wasn't exactly setting the world alight that season, with Michael Schumacher well and truly the top dog at Benetton Ford. Be it a title fight or the media, all eyes remained on the German. The Dutchman, for the most part, was just there. But this race would be a little different. Jos would grab the headlines for once, albeit in the worst way possible. Things were taking a nasty turn further up the grid too. Damon Hill, Schumacher's closest championship rival's performances had not gone down well with the Germans. He had received a death threat should he outqualify Schumacher. Additional security measures were instated for Hill, a precautionary stance that would then be extended to Gerhard Berger when the Ferrari driver clinched pole position.
I used a back entrance to the circuit each day and had a police escort everywhere. There was even someone on duty outside my bedroom door each night.
On qualifying day though, Benetton found themselves struggling down Hockenheim's lengthy straight due to the smaller rear wing dimensions. Michael secured his lowest grid position of the season, 4th, just behind Damon Hill. Jos meanwhile lined up a measly 19th. Not only was he way down the order, he had no idea that the real danger would not meet him out on the racetrack as he got swarmed by cars. It would be in the pits during the race. The Ferraris meanwhile, powered by V12 engines, dominated the front row in what was their first lockout since the 1990 Portuguese Grand Prix. The issues with Ferrari's new engine cover became evident, as Jean Alesi's was torn off during the sprint towards Ostkurve chicane, relegating him behind teammate Gerhard Berger in the pole position battle. Safety-orientated tweaks extended beyond the cars. Hockenheim's first and third chicanes underwent redesigns, renamed in homage to Jim Clark and Ayrton Senna. Despite these changes, the high-speed essence of the circuit remained the same, and cars with aerodynamic efficiency and robust engines would be the horses to bet on. Qualifying results had a nice change of colour due to the Tyrrell Yamahas, with Ukyo Katayama outpacing David Coulthard's Williams for a career-best starting position of 5th. The Ligier drivers also experienced their best qualifying outing, with rookie Olivier Panis scoring 12th place. However, Pacific's aerodynamically challenged car and underpowered Ilmor engine perpetuated their streak of failing to qualify, and so the stage would be set. The crowd would cheer on their home hero once the cars hit the asphalt, but it would be the other driver that would leave them in shock. On race day, the air was thick with anticipation as Michael Schumacher's competitors eyed a rare opportunity. Ferrari, hungry for their first victory in nearly 4 years, saw this as a golden chance. Damon Hill, armed with the updated FW16B from Williams, recognized the need to capitalize on his starting advantage over his championship rival. However, the pre-race rituals were marred by a shocking incident earlier in the weekend. The destiny of half the field, though, including Hill, was sealed within the opening lap, and for many, it unraveled within the first few meters.
Will be stopped. Look at that, the car's all over the place, and that is Mika Häkkinen again.
chaos erupted mere seconds after the lights changed. Andrea De Cesaris collided with Michele Alboreto, propelling the Sauber onto the grass and the Minardi into the pit wall, where it trapped Alessandro Zanardi's Lotus. Approaching the first corner, Mika Hakkinen, positioned almost ahead of David Coulthard on the inside, squeezed Hill too tightly. And then it all went wrong. Mika's McLaren careened in front of the oncoming field, ensnaring several rivals in the chaos. The field's decimation continued as Jean Alesi's new Ferrari 043 engine gave up the fight as the remaining cars navigated the forest for the first time. Hill in particular suffered a bent steering wheel and started falling away. As the Englishman soldiered on, the rest of the field, including Coulthard, with a damaged front wing from the Hakkinen incident, overtook him. Surprisingly, many were taken aback as both headed for the pits, witnessing the race continue amidst the chaos. In the lead, Gerhard Berger guided Schumacher onto the start/finish line amid a sea of yellow flags. Of course, cars were strategically stationed on and beside the track, still recovering battered machinery. Yep, they were driving on the track whilst the debris was being cleared up. Yep, this was after Senna and Ratzenberger had died at Imola. Unsurprisingly, many drivers criticised the decision not to halt proceedings and clear the track of debris. The haunting spectre of Ayrton Senna's fatal crash still casts a shadow over the deployment of the safety car, a measure that hadn't been utilised since that tragic day. Several laps elapsed before the debris-strewn start-finish line was finally cleared. During this interval, Hill re-entered the race, albeit a lap down. Meanwhile, Schumacher, closing in on Berger, continued to follow the Ferrari with dogged relentlessness, often forcing the Ferrari into defensive maneuvers. It would be on the 13th lap, in the pit lane, that one driver's luck would nearly run out.
I remember coming in for what I thought was a regular pit stop. Sitting in the car, I would always open my visor because when I was stood still, I would sweat a lot. So as I came to a halt, I opened my helmet to get some fresh air.
Simon Morley, mechanic for the Benetton team, had some trouble handling the fuel hose during Jos Verstappen's pit stop, in particular with the nozzle. In the ensuing struggle, fuel sprayed from the hose, and Jos Verstappen did not know what happened to him. A firestorm enveloped the B194, threatening the driver and engulfing most of the pit crew. Quick-thinking team members discharged fire extinguishers, quelling the flames fed by up to 6 litres of fuel. Some mechanics, their uniforms ablaze, managed to jump clear of the car, receiving aid from members of other teams. Morley and Verstappen suffered injuries as burning petrol infiltrated their protective headgear, but the outcome could have been far more tragic. Black smoke rose from the pit lane, and even the drivers approaching the grandstand couldn't help but take notice of what was going on. Despite having one pit stop left, the injuries sustained by Benetton's pit crew rendered servicing Schumacher's ailing car impossible. And on lap 21, the German would retire from the race, much to the sadness of the home crowd. The field, already diminished, saw Berger score an untroubled victory, with the Ligier drivers elevated to 2nd and 3rd positions. Berger's victory was Ferrari's first victory since Alain Prost's win at Jerez nearly 4 years prior. He had ended a long win drought, and the Tifosi were elated. But for Jos Verstappen, elation was anything but the word of the day. He recounted how lucky he had been not to have been breathing at the time.
I remember the team pouring water on my face and then later putting cream on it. I went to hospital for a checkup, but everything was pretty much okay. My breathing was fine too, as I don't think I breathed much when it happened.
This man had been one breath away from suffering a debilitating injury, and yet fate smiled on him that day. Had Jos not been so lucky, we would never have seen little Max Verstappen grow up to be the driver he is today. We wouldn't have seen some of Jos's more brilliant drives. It really goes to show just how fine the margins in this sport are, and sometimes of all that we've lost out on track. Improved safety equipment and protocols have gone a long way in saving the drivers' lives, and no one is better proof of that than Romain Grosjean.